Namaste, I'm Shilpi Das Chohan, a personal voice coach, voice artist, a sound healing practitioner, and the co-founder of Charista Foundation. I forayed into the world of voiceovers some 12 years back. And it was in 2016 that I founded Shilpi's Voice and Visuals. Because after being a freelance voiceover artist, I realized that I really wanted to share my knowledge and turn into a personal voice coach. Because coming from the background of corporate training, I could combine the experience of being a voiceover artist and training. Today, I thoroughly enjoy helping people understand the limitless potential of their voice and use their vocal instrument, just like any other musical instrument, for an empowering vocal presence. Did you know that voice is the sound produced by the human vocal apparatus, and it has the power to heal people of their emotional stress? And to extend and expand this experience, I went to International Academy of Sound Healing and certified myself as a sound healer. Today, we provide this service as a psychological healing service to the senior citizens, and I also personally provide this healing service to many of my clients and friends, and I enjoy the experience of seeing that feeling of calm, rejuvenation, and that refreshed feeling that they experience after having gone through this healing. And I'm quite enjoying this journey of being a sound healing practitioner. It was in January 2021, in the middle of the pandemic, that I co-founded Charista Foundation with another beautiful soul, with a vision of contributing to the society. Charista was born out of passion, and the name Charista is rooted in Greek language. It means giving, sharing, and caring. We aspire to provide psychological care to the elderly because we understand that loneliness and lack of companionship can have a detrimental impact on the elderly mind that leads to dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and all sorts of physical ailments that they experience. We have also co-produced a social short film that has bagged 34 national and international awards so far. We also have a platform called Charista, which is about promoting Indian art and culture, the lesser known talents, and also supporting the artistic education of the underprivileged talents, because we feel that for them to afford an art mentor is definitely out of their reach of financial means. The third one, that is to provide support to the rural artisans and revive the dying handicrafts of our country. And also the fourth one is about working towards a cleaner and greener planet. I hope someday many of you will join us in this journey to contribute back to the society. I believe every human being has a purpose to being born as a human on this planet. And the quest to finding that purpose is a challenging but a beautiful journey. The reason I became an entrepreneur was to find that purpose, to assert my identity, to realize my potential, to make my children prouder, to become financially independent, to contribute back to the society, and many such things which did not make me sit at one place and just start moving on to realizing my dreams. I quit my corporate career at the very peak as a corporate trainer, heading a business entity in Mumbai. Took a sabbatical of 8 years to bring up my 2 children. And then a strong voice inside me kept pushing me outside the comfort zone that I had created for myself, the boundaries of motherhood and wifehood. And I knew I had to do something, and I had to start somewhere. And that was the time I went through a very deep introspection of my skills and where I was at that point of time in terms of my skills. So when we decide to become an entrepreneur, it's very important that we understand our strengths and what are the opportunities we have by virtue of those strengths, What are the weaknesses that we possess? How do we overcome those weaknesses? And what are the threatening situations we can face because of those weaknesses? Once we have the SWOT analysis clear in our mind and we write it down on a piece of paper, or maybe create a journal, and that will give you a lot of clarity. That's what I did. And then I moved on to placing myself in the competency quadrant. Competency quadrant means a skill that we don't have and we don't know that we don't have. And then we move to the next part of the quadrant when we know that we want to have the skill, but we don't know how to have the skill, what to do about it. And the third part of the quadrant is to actually do something to acquire that skill. Find a way to learn new things to acquire that skill. And then the fourth is you already have the skill. So there are 4 levels in the competency quadrant. I checked myself on that quadrant and I knew what has to be done. Once you do the SWOT analysis and the competency quadrant analysis, you will have a lot of clarity in your mind. And that is where I realized that voice was my potential, training was my skill, and I wanted to combine these two to become a voiceover artist and then move to becoming a personal voice coach. This requires us to upgrade and upskill, and that is when we also need funds, because every upgradation, every upskilling requires funds. I had to train myself, I had to learn new skills, and that's when I started looking for funds. I had some of my savings, but that was not sufficient. And then I moved on to checking with my immediate family members, my husband, my mother, my brother. And then it was very important that I exercise my options in my network. And for that, one needs to have a clear vision, a clear goal, a clear picture to reach out to prospective investors, or maybe even friends who can invest in your business. But for that, we need to develop conviction. And for that conviction, we need to be very, very clear about the intent of what you want to do, the purpose, why you want to do it, and then the outcome. What is it that you expect out of the whole journey, and how are you going to benefit? How are the rest of the people going to benefit? Once we have this clarity, the journey begins at a very different level. Coming to the milestones of my journey as an entrepreneur, I have seen that most of the things that I've been doing should be in alignment with each other. So they are interrelated with each other. Be it being a voiceover artist, a personal voice coach, a sound healing practitioner, a philanthropist, everything was interrelated in some or the other way. When I became a voice artist, it was very important for me to reach out to the right kind of audience. And my first milestone, I would say here, would have been to voice an ITC for Bell ad that I still remember I enjoyed so much. And then it was a wildlife documentary for Madhya Pradesh Tiger Foundation Society. It was a beautiful documentary, and I still feel very proud of doing these 2 particular jobs in the voiceover industry. And then moving to being a personal voice coach, I started from the garage of my home. I converted into a small office, and the day my first client came to start learning from me, I was so thrilled, and I had so much to teach, so much to share. I still remember that as one of my very strong milestones of becoming a personal voice coach. While I was pursuing all of this, I was also simultaneously working as a social entrepreneur, especially in the field of promoting Indian art and culture and caring for the elderly. And that's when an idea struck that our elderly are mostly excluded from the society, and it is very important in today's day when the children are away, and the lack of a companion can cause so much loneliness in an elderly's life and the emotional trauma that they go through. We should create a film that could sensitize people that what are we doing? And we are all aging, nobody is becoming younger. And how are we looking at our own old age? That's the time I decided that we have to make a film for the society. But I didn't know how, because films means a lot of finances and I didn't have that. The film was conceptualized, but it took 3 years to find the right partner to arrange the funds to execute the whole project. And that's when my belief grew stronger in the fact that nobody grows alone. We always need resources like time, money and people. Without them we cannot grow. So it is very important that we always keep an open mind and allow people to walk into our lives when we are in an entrepreneurial journey. So that was another milestone, to have made the film and receiving 34 national and international awards for the film. Have you ever heard your inner voice that keeps talking to you all the time? I'm a very intuitive person, and I strongly believe that our intuition always guides us on the right path. So I started taking baby steps, step by step. My first step was to find a mentor for myself, to train myself in my voice. People said that I have a great voice, but I was not happy there, I was not satisfied. I knew that if I have to launch myself professionally as a voiceover artist, I must receive some kind of professional training to reach that level, to be able to market myself. And finding a good mentor was definitely a challenge, but I did find one. And what I learned from him has gotten me this far. It was difficult. He made me cry. I did shed tears when I couldn't make him happy with my performance. I would keep wondering what would make him happy. What is it that I'm doing wrong? Why am I not able to follow the parameters that he has set? But yes, I reached there. It takes time. So time is very important. Patience is important. We have to give ourselves time and patience. And being a woman, it is very difficult because we are inundated with so many responsibilities, and it's always about taking up a dual responsibility of running a household and pursuing our own aspirations. It's not easy, I understand that, and it's not been easy for me as well. And then when I was moving on to becoming a personal voice coach, it was also important for me to understand that I needed to upgrade myself. So it is very important that we are brutally honest with ourselves and we understand what are our skills and what do we lack and fill that gap. I realized that I had substantial experience in corporate training and equally substantial experience in being a voiceover artist, but now was the time to combine both and upgrade myself to becoming a personal voice coach. Working with a person's voice means working with the entire person, because a person's value system, belief systems, attitude, everything impacts the way they speak and sound. So I chose to certify myself as an NLP Master Practitioner because that gave me an opportunity to understand the human psyche and use the tools and techniques to train my clients on their voice. That means they needed to work on their psyche to set their voice free. When I started working on making the film Pune, I had to look for funds, and going out to ask people for funds for a noble cause also proved to be a challenge, because I was made a lot of indecent offers which I had to turn down. But there were times I doubted my success. I was not sure whether it will be done ever or not. But I kept at it, and it takes a lot of inspiration and motivation to keep up the spirit and not give up. And it also takes a very intentional mind to turn every stone and look beneath it to see what is there and whether it is of any value or not. And that is how I found the right person, the right resources to fund the film and execute it. That was another dream that came true. So the challenges are always the resources like time, money and people. Time, because we are women and we always have to do extra bit that the men have to do. course, you're on an entrepreneurial journey and you need funds to accomplish everything that you want to do. And people, the most useful resources that you can make and build only by networking. And networking requires time and effort. And that is the biggest challenge, I believe, to put in the time in networking. I strongly believe that when we are on our own, it is very important to follow certain practices that will build your path and open new doors of possibilities. The first thing that I always recommend is to create a journal, a book that you can always keep it with yourself to write down everything that comes to your mind. And start with every day's to-do list. And keep some pages for that particular day to put down any thoughts that occur, anything that you register, anything that inspires you. Second would be to understand what are the resources you have and the resources that you need to build and what you need to do to build those resources. And I think to build the resources that comes handy is networking. The most important part of being an entrepreneur. You cannot survive without networking. And for that, you might have to give up any kind of inhibition that you might have in reaching out to strangers or people beyond your circle of acquaintance. That also grooms you to a great level to become that go-getter. So go out and build that network. The third important aspect is marketing. Now, as an entrepreneur, you're not only a peon, you are handling operations, finances, admin, marketing. But one thing that most of the entrepreneurs shy away from is marketing. Because marketing requires you to reach out to people, all kinds of people. But trust me, you learn a lot. And if you cannot handle your marketing, nobody else can, because you know your vision, mission, intention, outcome and purpose. Nobody can define that better than you. Till you can reach that point where you can delegate this task to somebody else and focus on other things. So marketing is a very important aspect. Next is allocating your time and funds. As an entrepreneur, it is very important to know how you are going to time yourself amidst all your family responsibilities and your aspirations. Time that properly. We should know how we are going to complete our daily tasks and then look after our aspirations and follow that committedly. Next important step is to be mindful about allocating funds. As an entrepreneur, although we might not be so involved in managing money and finances, but in this journey, it is a very important skill to understand where we should spend money, where we should not, because we are also responsible to keep accounts of the funds, not only for ourselves, but people who have funded our vision and our dream. After that, one of the most important aspects of building business is correspondence. They say that it is a general etiquette to respond to mails within 48 hours from the time you receive a mail. So it's good to follow that practice. Good to be very prompt with responding to clients and inquiries, because then people know that they can depend upon you. You build your credibility by being prompt in your correspondence, whether it's WhatsApp, returning phone calls, receiving phone calls, replying to emails, be on social media, responding to messages there. Just be very, very prompt on doing this, because you build your credibility only by communication. Vision sprouts from personal integrity and intent. I want to be one of the best personal voice coaches, sound healing practitioner, and a great philanthropist till I live on this planet. And I'm on a mission to make my clients realize the potential of their voice and help them build an empowering vocal presence to help people adapt to sound healing as a way of holistic wellness and engage like-minded people for the causes Charista Foundation is pursuing. My message to you would be to aim at perfection, but be happy with excelling in it. And also to visualize, keep visualizing where you see yourself and keep working at making that visual imagination a dream come true by leaving your comfort zones, because in comfort zones nothing can be achieved. It is always outside the comfort zone. And if you need any kind of guidance or mentoring, you can definitely reach out to me on the details given.